Do you dare to enter the world of darkness, long nights full of horror, spine-chilling tales, and never-before-told legends? If you think you are ready to face your fears, join us on the Hell of Horror channel. Horror awaits you. Are you ready? Follow us now, and do not forget. Closing the doors. On a rainy evening, a group of adventurous researchers stood at the edge of the mountain, catching their breath as they gazed at the abandoned village perched atop the small hill in front of them. The sky was laden with dark clouds, and the trees swayed with the gusts of wind, adding an atmosphere of mystery and terror to the place. "Shall we go?" asked Sarah, the young researcher. "Yes, it's time to test the truth. We are here to find out if the legend is real or not," replied Daniel, the leader who was responsible for the team's decisions. They entered the village amidst the oppressive silence. No sound rose above their footsteps on the damp ground. The abandoned houses seemed to watch them with demonic eyes, and the narrow streets twisted before them like passages in a maze of darkness. The further they advanced, the more their doubts grew about whether they were alone in this living nightmare. "Did you hear that?" asked Emma. "Voices. Whispers around us." They started hearing strange sounds, as if coming from afar, mysterious whispers fading into the cold wind that swept through the trees. The more they tried to escape, the closer the sound seemed to get, as if pursuing them with a sinister intent. As they wandered through the narrow streets, the team began to feel an increasing tension. They heard strange sounds coming from the abandoned houses, as if cursed spirits inhabited them. They stopped in front of a large house in the center of the village, which seemed to have once been the home of the village chief. "Let's split up and examine the place," Daniel said firmly. "Sarah, Emma, come with me. The rest of you stay here and scout around outside. Keep in touch via the walkie-talkies." The three entered the house slowly, the floorboards creaking under their feet, and the walls covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. They headed upstairs, where they found a large room filled with old books and documents. The room was cold, and the air was thick with the smell of mold. "Look at this," Sarah said as she pulled an old book from the shelf. "It talks about local legends and an ancient curse that befell this village." As Sarah read aloud, Emma noticed something strange on the wall. There was an old painting depicting a group of villagers standing around someone. What caught her attention was the person who seemed covered in blood, with an expression of terror on their face. "It seems like there were eerie rituals that took place here," Emma said, pointing to the painting. "Perhaps this is the reason behind all this mystery." At that moment, they heard a scream coming from downstairs. They rushed towards the source of the sound, only to find one of their team members lying on the floor, severely injured. "Something attacked me. I couldn't see it clearly. the man whispered before losing consciousness. Daniel carried the injured man and they quickly began to retreat from the house. However, on their way out, they felt something following them. They heard mysterious whispers coming from all directions and shadows darting swiftly in the dark corners. When they reached outside, they found that the rest of the team had disappeared. They must have scattered during the attack. Daniel exclaimed with concern. "We need to find them quickly." They began searching everywhere, but the village seemed like an endless maze. They found clues of their teammates' presence but couldn't find anyone. The deeper they searched, the more fear gripped their hearts. In one horrifying moment, they found one of their colleagues hanging from a tree, his body torn apart and blood dripping slowly from him. The scene was so gruesome that Emma couldn't control herself and let out a loud scream. They had to find a way out before they too became part of the terrifying legend of this village. Realizing that the danger increased the longer they stayed in the village, the remaining team started moving faster and with greater caution. They were looking for any sign of an exit or a safe haven. As they wandered, they passed by an old temple that seemed on the verge of collapse. They decided to enter, searching for a temporary refuge. Once inside, they felt something strange in the air. The temple was filled with bizarre symbols and lit candles, as if it were a stage for mysterious rituals. "We need to be careful here," Daniel said, scanning the place with his eyes. As they explored the area, Emma found an old book lying on the altar. "Look at this, it seems to contain spells and secrets related to the village." Emma began to read aloud, and little by little, she started to understand what had happened. "It seems there is an ancient curse cast upon this village because of a sin committed by its inhabitants. This curse summons creatures from another realm to hunt down anyone who enters here." At that moment, they heard a sound coming from outside. They cautiously approached the window to see what was happening. There was a group of shadows moving swiftly among the trees, heading towards the temple. "We need to move now," Daniel shouted. "If we stay here, we'll be trapped." They ran out of the temple as fast as they could, heading towards the far edge of the village. As they fled, the mysterious creature closed in on them with terrifying speed. In a critical moment, the creature pounced on one of the team members, tearing his body apart brutally. Blood splattered everywhere, and the ground became covered with his mangled remains. The rest of the team, filled with terror, began running frantically, searching for an exit. They found a small house on the eastern edge of the village, quickly entered, and tightly shut the doors. Inside the house, they tried to gather their thoughts and catch their breath. "We need to think calmly," Daniel said with a trembling voice. "We must find a way to stop this curse or at least escape from this place." As they searched the house for any clues or tools that might help them, they found an old map. It indicated a secret tunnel that extended from the village to the outside. "This is our last hope," Daniel said, staring intently at the map. We have to find this tunnel. With time running out, they began searching for the entrance to the tunnel. The shadows were closing in on the house, and mysterious whispers filled the air. Finally, they found a hidden door leading to a dark basement. They quickly entered and shut the door behind them. The tunnel was dark and cold, but they had no other choice. As they advanced through the tunnel, the sounds grew closer behind them. They began to run at full speed, stumbling in the darkness. Suddenly, the creature pounced on Daniel from behind, dragging him into the shadows. They heard his screams fade into the dark distance, but they dared not turn back to help him. They continued running until they reached the end of the tunnel, where they found a door leading outside. They opened it quickly and rushed into freedom. They stood outside, finally breathing a sigh of relief. The sun was slowly rising, casting its rays upon the deserted village. We survived, but at what cost? Emma wondered aloud as she looked back at the village from a distance. The legend was real, and the curse remained alive. Escape was only the beginning of a new chapter of horror. They realized that the mysterious creature would continue to hunt them wherever they went, and it wouldn't rest until it finished what it had started. With the sun rising, they began to walk away from the village, carrying with them the scars of the terrifying experience and the knowledge that real nightmares never truly end.